Hey everyone, it's Dr. West and my friend Sam. I'm excited to have you guys hear his story because it went from, hey, I can't think very good, to improvement, to, I mean, it's just a great story. So I asked him to share it because we love to show people that there's hope, that you're not your diagnosis, that there's mechanisms and treatments available that help with your immune system and more importantly with your nervous system. So that being said, Sam, tell people a little bit about your healthcare journey. I mean, it's fascinating, it's motivating, inspiring, and I just love it. So what's fascinating about your journey?
The journey is really interesting. The chronic illness that I had came on all suddenly, and it was just a horrible experience. Ended up in the ER like 3 times, and then went through many doctors through the Western medicine route. And the diagnosis that I got from them was, you're depressed. And that was not was not acceptable for me. I felt that someone was wrong, and I knew there was something else out there. So I finally found a doctor through my brother who was also battling some chronic illnesses, and I was able to get a good diagnosis of Epstein-Barr virus with rheumatoid arthritis.
And so Sam, with that, I wanted to make 2 comments. One, I do believe that you were depressed, but not because of primary depression. It's because you didn't feel good, and when you don't feel good, you don't have the energies, and you're hurting and everything, then it pulls your emotions down, and that's the secondary diagnosis.
Yeah.
But the reason why is because we have some things that are off. So Epstein-Barr, rheumatoid arthritis, I know one of your doctors said, hey, here's some depressive medication. There was another doctor that said, hey, let's try and work on the Epstein-Barr, but it wasn't getting you to where you wanted to get. So how did we connect? How do we meet up?
So miraculously, my brother and I heard a radio spot, and then Dr. West came down to Salt Lake City and did a presentation, and his messages resonated really well. My brother and I were really excited to come up and to take care of our health. And so our journey began about 4 years ago.
Yeah, 4 years ago, and the message is, and this is what I tell everybody when we do our videos, like, you're not your diagnosis. Like, that's the first message I want. And then the second one is, if we can get your energy levels up and we can get things balanced, good things happen. So we started on the journey a couple years ago, but there was a couple big symptoms that we need to take care of. One of them was like the brain fog. You said your brain just doesn't work. So tell everybody what that was like.
The brain fog is just horrible because I was not able to think, and with my job I had to think properly, and so I'm a computer engineer, and I could not think properly, or I could not retain thoughts or remember stuff. And that was my biggest primary concern, was to be able to have my mind back. And so that's what we started on when I came to see you.
And Sam, I really feel for you on that, because out of all the stuff that comes into the office, you know, mental ability to think, mental stamina, making sure I don't get dementia. Like, I can handle gray hair and wrinkles, but if you can't think, like,
that's true,
bad things are going to happen.
That's right. And the second thing was, I was chronic fatigue, man. I mean, I had to take naps like during the afternoon, and I would just crash like hard. So, and
that's one of the classic signs of a chronic viral infection, whether it's Epstein-Barr or the chickenpox virus or the rotavirus, the rhinovirus, cytomegalovirus, parvovirus, like all those viruses basically get in your system, and if you don't have the energy to get rid of them, what happens, it's like someone plugged an extension cord into your body and it just sucks all your energy out. And then of course, a lot of times the medical treatment for Epstein-Barr is, well, you just go to bed for a year. Like, just don't do anything. And I'm like, that never works for people. Like, you got to do more than just physiologic bed rest. But I'm excited for you to tell people, like, what helped to bring your brain power back? Because obviously you guys can see, like, he's pretty sharp. He's doing computer stuff and right on the top of the conversations. But we did this treatment called
Neurotherapy.
So neurotherapy is the nerve reset.
Yep.
And so tell everybody a little bit about that.
Okay, so the neurotherapy, I guess you guys call it the crown of thorns, and these basically put little, shots around your head and stuff like that.
The widest circumference of the head, and just so everybody knows, like, that was the name that I was taught, and everybody's so worried. They hear that and they're like, oh my gosh, you're going to crucify me or something. It's only because the head's highly vascular, and for probably 30 to 60 seconds after it looks like you had some thorns around your head, it's not near what Jesus went through. So I need to clarify that to everybody. but it has amazing ability. The nerves that come out to the skin above your brain, like literally they open, close, and reset. And what happened for you?
It took about 3 years, but I finally felt normal, and I could think properly. And it was just like, oh my gosh, I can think.
It's really fun to get people's brain to turn back on. It doesn't always take 3 years. I mean, we were consistently working with him, and it's been a miraculous process, because like when we first saw Sam, he was like half asleep. Like,
yeah, it was
he was coming, man, I don't feel good. He'd get in the chair, he'd go to sleep, and he just looked like he'd always been waking up. And then as we've been continue to work with him, he'd come in, bounce at his step. I mean, you can see now, like, there's little electricity vibes coming off of him. But what are the other treatments that we did?
We did IV therapies, and we did like a foot bath, and like detoxing and stuff like that.
Yeah, so we did detoxing,
right.
And then the infusion treatments that we love to do with Epstein-Barr is vitamin C, at least 50, 75 grams of vitamin C, and then we add everything else to it, B5, B6, magnesium, zinc, and then we added some supplements, and we've kind of been tweaking those. We just tweaked them again, just a little bit. His blood tests, like, I don't want to go into any specific number, they look really good, and I was really happy to see that. And now it's like, hey Sam, let's just make sure that you're performing at your highest level.
That's right.
Up here. And so it's just been a really fun experience. Not only, like, my dad told me this is going to happen. People start off as patients and then they turn into friends. I'm always excited to see him because he's living life instead of just existing.
Yeah,
like
I know.
A huge difference.
I'm very grateful for you. I'm glad we found you.
Yeah, right on. So anyway, everyone, so this is the story, Dr. West and Sam. We're talking about Epstein-Barr virus. You're not your diagnosis. There's hope out there. And again, if you treat people for people, you treat the blood tests, you give the energy into the system, you reset the nervous system, these are the outcomes that are possible. And Sam, is it okay if I share the story with people on our blog, social media?
Definitely, please do.
And if anybody's looking at this and thinking, oh my gosh, I got Epstein-Barr, what should I do? What would you recommend?
Search out Dr. West. Yeah, come to Pocatello.
So we have people that come from all over, and it's worth it.
Yeah, it's totally worth it, yes.
All right.
Yeah.
Hey, we'll see you guys on the next video. This is Dr. West and Sam signing out. See you later.